What's going on, everybody? Today I'm going to be creating a poster based on a movie in my collection. I have no idea what the movie is, and I don't even know what the design style is going to be. I'm just going to let that inspire me. Alright, let's go find out what movie we're designing for. Alright, I have everything pasted in here, so let's pick a random movie. Return to Oz. What a fantastic movie. Let me go grab it. All right, Return to Oz is the sequel to The Wizard of Oz, kind of, and it's a fantastic movie. I signed up for the Disney Movie Club just to get this movie and then canceled. If you can find it on Blu-ray for a decent price, highly recommend it. It's a great movie. It looks and sounds great. And I still have this really cool postcard that came with my original DVD when I first bought it back in like 2001 or something. All right, so there are a lot of things that you could do with this movie from a poster standpoint, so I'm still not really sure exactly what I'm gonna do yet, so I think we're just gonna jump into Illustrator and play around. Okay, so I'm thinking of doing just like a minimalist poster here, and I think it's gonna work really well for Return to Oz. I've always really liked this key that's in the movie. It's the one that she finds in the hog trough.
Hog trough?
And I think that I've actually found a picture of the original key here. Normally I would trace over this, but this is actually a little bit out of perspective, so I'm just going to use this photo as a reference and recreate it with the pen tool and a couple of other tools. All right, so we now have our key. It's all one shape, so let's go ahead and get rid of this reference image here. And what we can do is we can scale it up nice and large. I've made our canvas 18 by 24, so I'm probably gonna get this all the way up to 24, center it up like this, and then take it down by 10 inches or so. So I think that 14 inches is probably a good size for this, and we'll rotate the key. I think that looks cool. All right, so I have this dragged into Photoshop here, and we're gonna apply some gold effects to it and a couple of other things for the background. So I have this image that I found on Unsplash, and it's a gold texture. So the first thing we're gonna do is mask this gold to the key. So we're gonna select our top layer, right click, and click on Create Clipping Mask. And now that we have that masked, I'm gonna go ahead and bring up this color background right here. This is like a dark green color. Now I'm gonna double click on my key, go in here to my bevel and emboss, and I actually have all of these settings left over from a tutorial that I watched where I saw how to do like a foil stamping effect. So for the most part, I'm gonna leave these exactly how they are. However, I'm gonna change the depth a little bit since we have such a large object here. All right, so I'm also gonna go in here and add a drop shadow to it. So let's get that added. All right, so I'm pretty happy with the effects on that, and I really like the unevenness in that gold texture. It's really giving it some good depth. All right, so what we're gonna do now is go in and smooth out a couple of the points here. And we wanna do that to make sure that this looks a little bit more like a real object and not a digital one. So we're gonna go to Filter, Noise, and Median, and I'm just gonna do about a 10 pixel or something like that on the radius. And then now I'm gonna go into Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. We're not gonna do 10. I think 2 is good right here because if you go any higher, then it's really gonna start to separate those pixels. It's not gonna look good. Okay, so now I'd like to add a little bit more to the background and give it some more depth. So I just kind of made it a little bit brighter right there as you saw, and we're gonna add a grain layer. And this is gonna be more about adding a vignette than adding a grain layer, but I'm gonna add a little bit of grain and then go heavy on the vignette. So about a -50 on that vignette right there, and then we're just gonna change this to overlay. And it's a nice subtle change, but as you can see, it adds a lot of dimension there. The drop shadow and the shadow modes are looking a little bit heavy, so I'm gonna drop those down. All right, so now we're gonna go back to Illustrator and add some typography and then bring it back into Photoshop. I'm gonna leave the key right here so I get a good sense of where I'm gonna be putting the type. And I intentionally don't work with a lot of serif fonts, but I am gonna do one for this one. I just think that it fits the movie a lot better than a sans serif typeface. All right, since I kerned the main title, I'm gonna go in and kern the director's name as well. This is the first time I've ever worked with this font, and I really like it. I think it really works well for this movie, and it has this otherworldly type of feel to it. All right, so let's copy these in here. All right, first thing I'm gonna do is lay down some guides. And it was kind of an accident. I didn't mean to do this, but I really like the idea of putting that gold inside of the type. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. And if we're gonna do that, we definitely need to copy over those effects as well. And I'll just go in and change the depth to 250 and the soften down to 10. That way it keeps it nice and subtle. And then we'll just copy that effect over to the director's name. I wanna bring the type a little bit further in, one. So we're just going to bring this down here and then bring the director's name up here. All right, so here's our Return to Oz gold key poster. This is a great example of something that you can trace with the pen tool in Illustrator and then apply some really cool effects in Photoshop. I hope you liked the poster, and I hope you learned something in either program today. That was a fun little project. I really enjoy Return to Oz. I may actually come back to it and add like a brick background or something. Just something to give that background a little bit more texture and make the text jump off a little bit more. That's assuming I have any time to do something like that. I mean, come on, there's a jar of peanut butter behind me. If you like this video, please hit like and subscribe at the bottom and click the bell for notifications to be notified of all future content. Thanks a lot for watching and subscribing, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.